Okay, let's continue with the VFX lesson. This is the part 2 where we're going to look at our third example and also another example where we apply the things that we learned before for the eyes, but we're going to apply it on a still video so you can see the difference. So let's go ahead and just import the footage. There's a new one, so just get all three. These are the things we're going to need for this lesson. So first let's start with the still video. Just drag it into this colored box and we have this footage. Now this one, she already has white eyes, but the reason why I brought this in is that the mood will match the kind of creepy demon eye look, or also the glowing eyes. So you can practice both methods on this video and kind of get better at understanding and adding those techniques. So basically we have this lady, she's about to drink, I guess, eyeball juice. And I'm going to skip to the point where she stops moving. So she's just looking to some direction. I'm just gonna comb through and see where that is. Just expand the timeline. Here she's drinking. Let's come here. Okay, she finished. Let's zoom out of the timeline. Alright, so here she stops moving. And I'm gonna just play this back and see. Alright, as you can see, she does not move as much. She brings her head down. This is the start of our clip. And you can see she just stays that way. She's not like moving her head around. The camera isn't moving at all. So this is perfect to add this effect so that you don't have to deal with the movements. Alright. Control-Shift-D. Let's see if this is enough. Let's bring it in the beginning. Play this back. And you can see she just stays that way. I'm going to also cut it from here and continue from the other side. Alright, before she blinks. So around here. You can choose any point of the video that you want. I just want to quickly show you guys the effect. Let's rename this to original. Control-D. And just expand the timeline. Bring both of them at the beginning of our clip. Like so. Alright, now let's zoom in on her eye and get the shape of her eyeball. So let's get the pen tool. And I'm just going to select the white area. Now this is easier than the previous video as well because we have a nice lighting and we can clearly tell where the curves are. Unlike the previous video, it was a bit difficult. So now I know where I need to go exactly. And again, we can always come back and fix the little spots. Alright, that's the first eye. And we created a mask for this. So if I turn this off, we only have this eyeball. Let's also do the same for the other one. Hit M twice. Let me just name this real quick. Left eye. Hit M twice on left eye. On mask 1, right click and hit track mask. And we're just going to just do this. It's going to track the shape of the eyeball. This is another way that you can do this tracking motion. We already went over a few. Now this was another way. So you can see we have created a lot of keyframes. Let's duplicate the original again. Call this right eye. And we're also going to zoom in on her other eye now. Hit G and go around the shape like so. Make sure you get the right curves and you get every bit of white that's in the eye. Alright, let me actually finish it with a curve. Bring it closer like so. Again, hit M twice on right eye. Mask 1, right click, track mask. Hit forward, analyze forward. It's going to track this shape. And again, if you saw that it's moving out of frame, like it's jumping around, hit pause or the space bar and then readjust your mask. Alright, so we have the mask track of these two. Now what we can do is to just get, let's try something. Get the fill on the left eye. You can see we have this red eye moment. So we just dragged fill and brought it onto this. Change this into, again, instead of black, we want to go for a color that is visible. Because she doesn't have a pupil, we'll go with the color of the eyebrow. That will do. And also we can click here and copy the code, Control C or Command C. Add the same thing to the right eye. Click here, paste the code here. Now we have the identical colors. Because if we wanted to use the eyedropper tool again, we might get a different one, and we want to make sure that she has the same color for her eyes. Open left eye in the mask 1. We want to feather out the eyes. Let's zoom in. Hit V. We're going to feather out the edges. Also, we're going to expand as well. So we feathered and then we expand. See, we have this kind of motion. And you just need to kind of play around with the parts. Now the thing is, because we created these keyframes, we cannot go back and work with the mask itself. So your best luck is to just work around with the feather and the expansion. Just do that, and I'm going to play this back and see how it looks. Okay, we have some white bits. I'm going to expand it. Let's try 8. And that looks better. So we have this eye. Let's do the same thing. Just add the same number. So 8 for expansion, 12 for feather. Hit M twice on right eye. 8 for expansion. 12 for feathering. Let's move on to the other side and see if it works well. And let's hit play. Okay, we gotta add more to the expansion. Let's try 9. Okay, that's better. And now she has dark eyes. Let's play this back. There we are. But there is an issue. Her eye isn't glowing because eyes need to glow. And to do that, we simply, first let's close these two. Simply need to move up here. And let's try something. We can either add glow, or better yet, we could just use our brush, Control Y. Get the color black. Okay. On this black layer, let's turn it off for a second. Let's add go on to original, double click. And we're just going to go up here. Find the natural eye. The glow of the eye. Let me actually try copying the original. Control D, bring it on top. And I'm just going to mask out everything except for this little white ball right here. Hit G, let's circle that. This might not work. Gotta see what works for us. Alright, now we got this little white dot. Dot left, Control D, and let's actually do that with the original. Control D on the original, bring it up, get the hand tool, hit Edge, hit G, And again, circle this around. Doing this will allow a more natural look because it's a natural glow of the eye. And if we were to do it ourselves, it may look a little bit animated. Alright, so I got these two dots. Let me delete black solid 1. Move out, and now she has these two dots. We just need to kind of blend them in. Dot left, M twice, feather the edges, come down. And because her eye is just white in general, we can add a nice expansion and also lower down the opacity. Just enough so it looks natural. Let's add to the feathering, the opacity. I'm just playing around and seeing what works best. Let's go with something like this. We can lower this to 10 so we can get like a little bit of glow. Add the same numbers to the right eye, so 3 for expansion. Let's go with 80 for opacity. Actually 90 was fine. 90 for opacity, 10 for feather. So 8 for expansion, 90 for opacity, and 10 for feather. Let's hit M on both of these layers to close the properties and have a look. Alright, but you can see that it's moving out of frame, so just get the pick whip, dot to left, oops, and dot right. Alright, we may just have to make a null object. It's fine. Let's quickly make a null object. 2 nulls actually. And actually we could just, let's try something. Get the mask path and just make like a quick adjustment. So turn on the stopwatch, move in a few frames, like when it comes down here in one motion, hit Control T on mask and just bring it down using the arrow key. You could do the null object thing. I'm just not going to do that because it's going to take a while. Bring this up like this. And not look that. Yeah, her eye is just moving around. Let's see what we can do. Alright, what we could do is to just remove the dots for a second. And on the left eye, we already have one mask, and that's the base of everything. Just turn off the visibility for a second and just zoom in. And we're going to make another mask separate from mask 1 and just go around this little box. You can see the outline is green instead of the pink. So that indicates that this is a separate mask. Just get the curves right. Again, we're going to feather this out. Now if you turn on the visibility, nothing is happening. That is because they're both add. So the first one is going to be add, but the second one, let's make it subtract. So now we have this little white thing from the original clip. And then just go in mask 2 and just do what we were doing, which was to add the feathering and the expansion as well as the opacity. So now we have this effect. And actually, let's Control T on the mask path. Because her eye is white, we could just add it somewhere around here. And yeah. So we could add a mask path. Say here, we want it to be over here. And then up here, we want it to be here. So it's going to move down with the eye. Might have to adjust the speed, so see where she stops moving, which is here, and just bring the keyframe here. So now if we play this back, it's going to move down a little slower. Let's adjust the speed. Just got to work with the keyframes until it's all good. Move it down a bit maybe. Alright. So it looks better. Let's move back, and she doesn't really move much, so we only need these 2 keyframes. Now let's do the same thing with the other eye. Remember the things, we added 2 expansion. Let me actually add more expansion. Feather the edges. Expand. This 2 was fine. Add to the opacity, feather it till 10. And make this 100. Let's try 8. So we get a little bit of white in the center. Hit M on left eye. M again to close it. Let's do the same thing with the other eye. Move here. Hit G while selecting left eye. Turn off the visibility. Hit H to move up. And just select this. It's a little ball of white. Turn this on. Mask 2 needs to be subtract. So we have this little ball. Open up the properties of mask 2. We're going to feather it out around, I think 8 is what we did. Expand it to 3. Bring this down to 90. Let's actually stick with 100. And now let's go on the mask path. Control T, we want to move it up to where the light is. Turn on the stopwatch. Come down until she stops moving. Control T. Bring it down. And we could see it's just moving around. Let's move it like here. Alright, and you can just turn off the visibility for this first layer to make sure it's perfect. Just wanted to quickly show you what you could do. Or you could do what we did in the first lesson, which was to track the movement of the eye with the tracker tool with the track motion. And then get a null object and then stick this dot to the null object. But for now, this will do. We have this creepy looking eyeball. Alright, so this is how it would work with another method. And yeah, so you saw this was a lot easier when our subject isn't moving around and the camera isn't shaking as well. So if you're planning to do this yourself, make sure you're still and you're not moving and your camera isn't shaking as well. Okay, now that we're done with this, let's move on to the next example. Kind of delete all of this. Let's actually bring this one as a new composition and delete the previous one. Alright, so let's get started with the third example. And I'm first going to rename this. Alright, let's duplicate it. And we always keep the original just in case something goes wrong. And let's bring in the fire shockwave video. And close the paint panel. Let's play this. So it's just like a flame. Play that again. This fireball exploding and then fading away. So that'll be great to show like the person in the video activated her powers, but then it faded away because she stopped using it. But the thing is that the fire video is really short. So first we gotta slow it down. Let me expand my timeline. right click on that fire video. Let's call it fire. Right click, time, enable time remapping. Alright, and then in the middle, we're going to create a keyframe. And then we're going to pull this really close to the first keyframe. So basically, it happens fast and then it slows down. And then here, we can make another keyframe to just kind of, let's see that again. It goes slow. And then let's just bring this two in like that. Comes slow. And then it fades away faster. We could also bring it in closer. Slows down, fades away quickly. So you can play around with this and make the flame however you like. It doesn't have to be exactly like how I make it. Experiment and see what works well for you. I'm going to keep mine like this. And alright, so we have the flame. We're just going to change the, hit the toggle switches and modes, turn the mode to screen. So now the flame is on the screen. Now if we want, you could search fire shockwave. I got mine from YouTube, but there are colored shockwaves. You can get a purple one, but seeing that the environment is like this orangey color, this would only make sense. So I'm going to leave it be like that, and then after we're going to do some color grading. Let's try. You can also add like a tint, so I can make it like red, blue. Just make sure it's map white too, because black is the area that we got rid of. So now we have this purple thing. And if we hit Control D, we're just gonna add to the intensity of the effect. But we'll get to this later. Delete tint for now. Let's first fix the tracking and all of that, and then we'll come back for the color and all that. Okay, on Lady 2, before that we're just going to make a null object. Right click here, null object. Alright, and then on the Lady 2, we're going to go in our tracker panel again. Turn off the fire video and also the audio. Zoom in. So you can see clearly we have this object that we can easily track. So this will be easy for us. Hit track motion. And we're going to set the target to null 3. It already is. Grab the box and just bring it on top of this watch. And adjust the boxes so that it stays that way. Okay. Go from the beginning of your clip. Forgot to do that. Just bring it here like so. And then we're going to hit analyze forward. So because we have a clear object, this will be really quick, unlike if we were to just sample some random place. You saw that it jumped out at that point. We're just going to go back to where it stops moving. Hit analyze forward again. Be ready to hit the pause button. Control left arrow key to move back frame by frame. Go to the frame where it jumps, which is here, and just bring it back here. Hit the analyze forward. And we can't really see what happens next, but I'm just going to let it be. Because we only want the effect until here, because that's how long the fire video goes on. Grab both of these guys. But before that, let's just hit apply. Now we have the null object. You can see all of those keyframes. Now grab the null 3 and Lady 2, Control Shift D, delete the rest. hit N to close your workspace. We open up the timeline so we can see things better. Also going to bring this up like so. Okay, now that we have the tracker, I'm going to get the fire video and just link it using the pick whip to null 3. So you can see it moves with that. We just have to do some resizing. The fire video, first of all, it's a bit too big. So I'm just going to grab this. Let me set this to none. Grab this and bring it on her hand. If needed, you can also make it smaller. Like this is a bit too big for me, so just hit S on the fire video and scale it down till you're happy with the size. That's good for me. Then we're just going to link it to null 3. So you can see it moves with the hand and then it just fades away when it does. And we can open up fire and maybe bring the whole clip like so. So the fire appears suddenly like that. And let's see that again. It appears like that and then it goes away. Like she stopped using her powers. But I was actually thinking the fire appears when she moves her hand. So let me see when that is exactly. So it starts here. Drag this guy like so. Because we remapped the time, the video actually ends here. So this is just empty video. Just focus on the part that you remapped. So now it's going to be this, nothing, and then the fire appears and she moves her hand like so. Okay. Now that we have this, let me just bring it here. We can start decorating, I guess. We've set this to this, and to kind of intensify the presence of the fire video, we can add some effects. So first I'm going to add the tint, like we mentioned, so we can make it more visible. Drag tint and put it on fire. Come in a few frames where you can see it, and go to map Y2 and choose your color. I'm going to go for like a purplish color. Okay. And you could also add a glow if you want. Let's try adding that. And just basically decorate your clip with it. Okay, and let's also add some brightness and contrast. You close glow and tint. You can make it bright if you want. We do need to do that because we're not really seeing it. And also you can either remove the contrast or add it. I find that adding will kind of make the colors more visible. So now we have a nicely visible fire effect. I am going to open up the remapping again and let me zoom in here. Okay. I'm going to just bring this in closer so I could see more of the flame like this before it fades away. Close this off, zoom out, and I'm going to just have a look again and add some more brightness. Just hit Ctrl D on this to make it even brighter. You play this back and see if it's enough. Okay, so it has this glowy effect. And you can add or remove the brightness, change the color if you need to. Just you can do a lot with this. And right now we have this really cool glowing effect, like so. All right, I am also going to do something else. hit Control Y on your keyboard, black solid, hit OK. Then turn off the visibility, go on Lady 2, double click to come in the video. Let's actually do that in the Lady video because we have the tracker in Lady 2. Get the brush tool and we're just going to make a really long thing. Zoom out. And if you saw that this panel is grayed out for you, just hold down Control and then press B or Command B on Mac so you can have access to the footage. I'm just going to delete this. I think we need to make it bigger. Whoops. Change this to erase to paint only. We don't want to erase the layer. Go to layer, source and that. Get the brush panel and we're just going to get a big brush. You can always just feather things out if needed. Rather big. You can zoom in and see how big you want it. Just gonna make it this big. Again, hardness 0, roundness 100. And you gotta choose the same color of the flame. I think this is the color. Just make a dot like this. And then we're going to go back in the composition and go to paint in the lady thing. Delete brush 1 and eraser 1. Instead, copy brush 2 onto black solid 2. So now if you turn on black solid, we have this thing. Turn the blending mode from normal to screen, like with the fire video, and now we have this. I'm gonna name this, I wouldn't say glow, just call it light. The light that appears around her magical powers. Turn this to third. And just make this begin at the same time where the fire thing starts, like so. And also link this with the pick whip to null 3. Before I do that, we're gonna bring it, want to bring light, and you could resize it. I'm just gonna bring it here, and then we'll add the pick whip from light onto null 3. So if you play this back, we have this light surrounding her hand. And doing this will help with the natural appearance of the fire, because if we don't have it, it's gonna look like this flat thing. So it would only make sense if her hand is glowing too. And the purple is fine, but if you didn't know the color of the fire, turn this off for a second. Simply go to fire, go to tint, hit this color once, then just copy this and paste it once you copy it. And then once you're making a paint selection in the black solid, just click here and then you would just paste it here. But for me, this color goes well with the purple that we have, so there's no need for me to do that. Alright, I do have to bring it a little bit to the left, change it to none, and just drag this guy. Oops, that's the fire. Let me turn off the fire video. Get the light video, and we're just going to bring it a bit to the left. Then we're going to pick whip that. So now we have this glowing thing. But the glow from the hand, not the fire video, needs to first appear before the fire comes in. So it needs to appear like this. Bring it a few frames forward. And also it needs to last. Let me close the paint panel. It needs to last after the fire video. So after it disappears, which is around here, I'm going to let this be. Control-Shift-D on the light video, delete the rest. And now we have this. We're going to make it slowly appear. hit T on the light video. Let me zoom in on this. First, I'm going to change the opacity to 0%. Turn on the stopwatch. Move it a few frames and then make this 100. And then in the end, after the fire comes in, another 100 keyframe, and then here it would be 0%. Okay, so now let me also easy ease all of these. F9. This appears and the flame appears, then this goes away. You can also kind of make this slow if you saw that it's too fast. Simply increase the time and then drag these two to the start. And now let's have a look to see if this is slow enough. Add to the space between the two keyframes if you want it to be slower. Let's have a look. Okay, so you saw that it suddenly appears. Let me turn off the fire video for a second. So it comes in like that. You can also increase the time. Just play around with the keyframes until you're happy with the speed. So you can see it appears like that. And then the fire just comes in. You can also do the same thing with the fire video. So hit T. And we're going to move in a few frames like this. Although with the fire video it wouldn't look that good. I like how it suddenly appears. So I'm just going to keep this like so. Okay, and let's zoom out. Hit M on both of these guys to close them off. On the lady video too. Now we have this cool fire power effect. Not happy with how it is. Kind of appears suddenly. Open this up and see what's happening. Okay, so you can see the paint starts from here. Just drag it from the start so it lasts the time that we added the keyframes in. Now it's going to glow in like that. So that was a problem. Make sure the paint is starting at the same time of the effect. So it slowly appears, comes in the flame, which I still want to work around with it. Let's actually go here. And I'm going to Control-Shift-D on this tiny bit. And we're just going to, let me see, Control-Z on that. Control-D on the fire video. Close the first fire. We still have the effects. Right-click, time stretch. Let's add a lot of stretch, 160. And we're just going to let this go on for a few frames, not too long. And just delete the rest. We're also going to get rid of the time remapping. Don't need that. I'm just going to place this over here. So you can see there's like a pause, and that's because of this. We can also stretch it out even more. 160, let's go for 200. Stretches out a little bit more. Go until here, and I'm gonna actually bring it, stretch it a little bit over this, hit T. And we're going to just, let me first increase this. In the beginning, I'm gonna make it fade in, so 0%. Turn on the keyframe, Control right arrow key. Next frame, I'm going to make it 100. Last frame, we're going to make it 0. So it would go something like this. There's like a little pause, and I think that helps with the way the effect is. And I also want to reduce the opacity for the light video, so hit T on this, and we actually have this effect going on. Let's see what we can do. Let's pre-compose this light video. Okay. Play that back. Let's not do that. We can also just add a nice little color correction. Effects and presets, you don't have to, but I think it helps. So add this color correction on a separate adjustment layer. Layer new, adjustment layer, like that. Add brightness and contrast. I'm gonna add to the contrast, then reduce the brightness. Let's see how this looks. So that looks, we can see the effect more than we used to. Let's reduce the contrast to about 60. We can also add a tint to the overall footage to kind of make it sci-fi. So to the map black 2, let's add like a bluish color. Amount to tint, add a little bit. Or let's go for like a purplish color. I think that looks cool. We have the adjustment layer, we have the cool flame power. Now there is an issue. She is moving her hand backwards, but the flame is just staying at one point, and that's not natural. So let's add a liquefy thing to the fire video. Oops, that's the wrong one. To the original fire video, not fire 2. And what this is going to do is that it's going to let us kind of distort the flame. Zoom in so you can see the fire. Hit Edge to adjust. The screen come in the beginning of the fire video and go on the liquefy layer. Go to the effects, liquefy. Let me do that again before doing that. So I'm just going to come here, liquefy, do the fire clip. I have this little brush now. And basically what this means is that we can add like a keyframe and distort this flame as it goes on. Turn on the distortion mesh at the beginning of your fire clip. Don't forget that. Control right arrow key to move in. And also pay attention to how she is moving her hand. So around this part, I'm going to kind of, you can see I'm squishing in the flame a little bit. Control right arrow key. Let's move in quite a lot. And this is where we want to kind of center everything in the beginning, or in the fist of her, just in her fist, and then kind of drag this part. Just something like that. Bring this in. Because we don't want a perfect circular ball in this clip, it's not going to look good. Want to kind of distort it like a real flame would if you're moving it around. Control right arrow key, it's going to be like that. Move in a lot of, moving quite a lot, and do this. So because we have the stopwatch on, it's going to very slowly distort the flame in the directions that we gave it. So try to like change a few things as you move into the frames so it looks even more natural. Ctrl Control right arrow key. Let's go to the end of the clip. Disappears. Now we really want to drag these guys because she's moving her hand quite a lot. Drag every bit away from her fist, so it's like the leftover traces of the fire. Bring in the top as well. Gotta fix it on both sides. Do that. Alright, then we're gonna stop here because this is where it fades away. So basically what we have right now is, let's play it back. Fire appears and it like switches and it's like fading to the side. We do have to add a effect here. You can see it kind of swishes in. Don't want that. Just go before the animation. Just go in the beginning actually. From the point where you're just seeing the thing. Control left arrow key. Okay, so this is the first frame. We're going to distort it here as well, so it's not a sudden jump to the effect that we did. Want to make the fire look alive because it's not just some regular flame, it's like a superpower. We don't want it to kind of jump around and look unrealistic, so it does this jumpy movement. Let's see what we can. Okay, so that means we just need to make another one here. And you could have just started from the beginning. Because I started from the middle, it's going to look a little jumpy. But let's just quickly do this. Don't want the lesson to be too long. Change this to fit. Hit play. Get rid of the thing. So it appears and the flame is just moving around. And we just kind of messed up in the beginning. If you just start from the first frame and then you distort as you move on to the next, you're going to avoid this problem. But since I already did it, I'm not going to go back. Hit play. This is what we have right now. So we have this flame and it fades away when she's like chilling. And yeah, so that is another superhero effect that you can do with your own clips. As you saw, it's like really fun. And let's see. It's a really nice and fun look that you can kind of play around with your own clips and make it look, you know, like a superhero film. It's a great thing for maybe Halloween when you just want to quickly dress up as something, but you just didn't have the time to actually do it. So I personally like to just Photoshop myself into some creature. You can also, I guess, use After Effects to make yourself look like a hero like this, so that you don't have to do the actual work in real life, but in the computer. Alright, let's see the final product one last time. And there we are. So this is how you do the superhero effect and how to do the demon eye look. I did want to mention something about the demon eye thing. If you're planning to go for a really realistic look, it's just best to get the lenses, because it's almost impossible to get the natural flow of the eye with this demon eye effect that we did in After Effects. If you look at movies or just videos that people create, they always go for those lenses, and they don't do the whole effect in the computer because, like I said, it's almost impossible to do that. So you could enhance the videos that you have by adding maybe some glow or some dark shadows, but if you want the real deal, you should just invest in some contact lenses, and that way you will get the best result. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one.